Hey everybody, I'm Laura DiCarlo of Career Directors International. If you're starting, currently thinking about starting, or actively building a resume writing or career coaching business, I'm glad you've joined me and glad you've joined me. I'm just gonna start rambling there already, and we're just starting out. Anyway, in this show, we share tools, strategy, and mindset tips that lead to your ultimate success without the stress. My guest today is Donna Shannon of Personal Touch Career Services. You'll be getting to know Donna here shortly, and let me be all professional. I'll put the little banner up so you can see Donna there. I mean, you see Donna. Hi, Donna. We are currently streaming on CDI's Facebook page, YouTube channel, and LinkedIn page. But listen, the platforms have been giving us issues. So please, if you comment, I'm going to invite you to comment in the chat. It would be great if you give me your name so I know who I'm speaking to. Janine. Hey, Janine. So Janine says, I'm looking forward to watching the session today. Janine, you do not have to list your name. LinkedIn is doing its job today. But otherwise, anyone else, if you're not sure, please put your name there so we can engage in conversation with more than just a blank avatar. So listen, if you don't know me yet, my goal is to become your not so secret superpower. At Career Directors International, we provide everything you need to love and excel at what you do so you can make a difference while earning an exceptional living as a career industry professional. So today's topic is startup and growth secrets from successfully self-employed resume writers and career coaches. And my special guest, as I said, is Donna Shannon of Personal Touch Career Services. Hey, Donna, I am so glad to have you join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this interview, everyone. And if you're tuning in or watching the replay, I've already had a chance to see some of Donna's tips, and they are good ones that you're going to benefit from. But teasing you just a little bit longer because I want to tell you three things. First of all, if you're new to my stream, please give me a hashtag newbie and your name in the chat. If you've been with me for a while or you're a CDI member, like Janine did already, just give us a hello. Let us know that you're here so that we know it. If you have any questions for Donna or me as we go forward today, drop them in the chat as well. We're going to be monitoring that the whole time. And then finally, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so that you don't miss out when we go live every week at 3:45 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Okay, so let me remove this little caption, especially because we've got our names up here. You know, it's me and Donna. So continuing our journey into startup and success secrets, I don't think I have to say it again. I'm going to be interviewing Donna Shannon of Personal Touch Career Services. So let me tell you a little bit about Donna. So Donna Shannon, they, them, is president at, I bet you know what it is now, Personal Touch Career Services. And they hold the Master Career Director designation from Career Directors International. Their books include Get a Job Without Going Crazy and The Down and Dirty Job Search. With 20 years of experience, they have published over 140 articles on LinkedIn, been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, and spoken about job searching strategies at conferences in Orlando, Los Angeles, Dallas, San Francisco, and Denver, among others. They constantly add to their professional development in both job searching trends and HR recruitment practices to ensure that their standards evolve with the latest technologies. Donna personally mentors their staff of 5 resume writers to stay on the cutting edge of the employment landscape. And yes, they do stand-up comedy, even though getting a job is no laughing matter. So Donna has shared a lot of interesting information, and I teased you about that last week. But I almost added some things here, and I'm like, nope, it's going to evolve as we go forward in the interview today. You're going to learn about all this great stuff. So if you're here with me and Donna today, please welcome Donna in the chat. I would greatly appreciate that. All right, Donna, are you ready to get started?
I am, Laura. I am indeed.
All right, we'll start off easy, right? When did you first start your business?
So I count starting my business as January 2004, and definitely started off kind of small. So I actually kicked everything off by teaching job searching workshops for just generalized job seekers. right? And everything kind of grew from there. There were like these little weekend workshops while I had my regular day job. And I'm going to jump ahead. So, what I was doing beforehand was in human resources and recruiting and finance and those kind of things for some smaller organizations and in broadcasting and things like that. And I continued to teach these classes on the weekend in while I started taking on some individual clients as well. So it started to get to the point in 2009 when I was producing so much materials for the class that I was like, okay, I either need to go all the way in on this and write the book, or I need to forget this nonsense and really focus on moving into HR management. And there was this thing that I realized that when I teach these classes, that there's always that moment when these disheartened, just really frustrated job seekers start to learn that it's not them personally that they're not getting a job. It's their tactics. And tactics can be changed. It doesn't matter how old they are, if they have a degree or if they don't, if they're changing industries, all of those things can be addressed with solid strategies. And just seeing the way their faces would light up and change, it's like, all right, yeah, I'm hooked. I'm all in. I wrote the book, the first edition of Get a Job Without Going Crazy in 2009, and kind of stepped off the corporate cliff in 2011. And I've been doing my company full time ever since then.
Okay, I like want to ask a question, but I'm gonna stay in order because I think you're gonna answer what I'm eager to hear in
Uh-huh.
the future questions. So, listen, if you're here with us as a viewer, tell us if you have a business or are planning one. If you have a name in mind, when you started, when you want to start, wherever your situation is, we'd love to meet you and learn about you. So okay, so you finally jumped in full time. So give us the scope of, tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, we have 5 staff resume writers and coaches in addition to myself. I also have a part-time assistant who helps me out. And we really focus on those practical tools for the job search. So we do 2 main silos of services, well, 3 technically. So the first one being all the writing services, resumes, LinkedIn profiles, cover letters. Then we do the career coaching, which is again focused mostly on the job search itself. So I don't do personality testing. I don't help people figure out what they want to be when they grow up. I'm like, say I'm a real deal coach. I don't want to talk about your feelings. I just want to tell you what to do. And you'll be more effective in your job search when you follow that advice, just saying.
Mhm.
And then the third aspect is I have some online courses as well.
I love that I mean, obviously, how an individual chooses to run their business is going to depend a lot on personality. And while I am a nurturing person, maybe it's become because I came out of university placement. I'm not really sure why, but I just firmly believe, and this is what I just heard you say, I just firmly believe that job seekers don't have time in most cases. And if they do, then they wouldn't have been my client. But in most cases, they just want to get to work as quickly as possible. So it's like, no, I don't want to think about, how this makes me feel or why I'm choosing this path or whatnot. It's like, just tell me how. And that's why in CDI, I've been asked before, and I don't think we have it up anymore, but I used to have a why we don't have a career coaching course.
Mhm.
We have a course on interview prep. We have a course on, certification on hidden job market, um, resume writing, because I feel like they don't have 6 months to spend, and if we do it right, they're going to get to work in weeks, versus months or the year it was probably taking them on their own. So
Yeah.
I very much am a fan of that model, and feel like anybody out there, you do you for what business model you want, because there's a niche clientele for that, and your spin is going to convince the right people to be with you. But yeah, I like that. Just let me tell you what to do so you can go out there and do
Yeah.
it. um, Now I'm struggling. I am definitely struggling here a little bit because I've got a couple questions that are coming up here that are coming, but like I'm super eager, so I'm gonna probably mess this up completely here in our flow. And I'm going to say that my next question is, what did you do before you started your business? And we know you've told us some of those parameters, but I think you've got, I love the interesting story I know about the position you had that led to what I think is like, what, 58% of your clientele
It's
today?
about 50% of our business. Yeah. So in 2005, I answered this funky little ad on Craigslist of all places that was looking for somebody to help with some resume writing and things like that. And it was for this place called the Starkey International Institute for Household Management here in Denver. And what they did is, yes, they trained butlers, household managers, personal assistants, and placed private chefs. It's all those people who take care of the multi-million-dollar private estates. Yes, it's a real job. Yes, it's very well paid. And yes, you get to hear interesting stories about, high net worth individuals, which is a polite way of saying, billionaire celebrities and the untouchables.
Yeah.
Basically. So while they brought me in and I redesigned the way they were doing all their resumes, but they also put me through some of their courses so I could accurately describe and understand what this industry was all about. And ever since then, I left that company in 2007, but we've continued to work with estate managers and everybody in this industry. I've actually won some awards from different associations specifically for this niche industry. So it's a cool one. I got to do one of my favorite resumes of all time, if you don't mind me sharing this one.
Please, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to write the resume for Robin Williams' estate manager.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that one was pretty cool.
That's very neat. That's very neat. See, the reason I wanted to make sure Donna shared that part of her story is because you all hear me talk a lot, especially lately, when we see like a million people calling themselves professional resume writer on LinkedIn. That so often, if you're trying to talk to everyone, you're going to potentially appeal to no one. And I just love the fact that she came from a profession, and I've granted she was writing resumes for that profession already, so it was a somewhat of a seamless transition. But so often I see people start up in this industry coming from other professions, and they're completely neglecting the opportunity of what you know best is where you previously worked, the industry you worked in, the positions you worked in. They could be potentially low hanging fruit because you've already got contacts and opportunities there. Um, and I also love the story because she's pioneered a very niche industry that if I hadn't had, I told her this privately, but if I hadn't had the opportunity to work with a husband and wife team who were with, a summer, was a winter residence for, an unmentionable in West Palm. I wouldn't even, or maybe it was Vero, I don't know, but I wouldn't have known this existed either. And then later I worked with a chef aspiring to be on a private yacht. It was really neat. I'd heard some really, I feel like I always thought I was high maintenance until I heard some of the stories. And I always
Oh, yeah.
thought,
Yeah, definitely.
I'd never imagined making someone iron my sheets and change them every single day. So,
Okay. I will say one of the craziest things I heard of. So I won't dive too much into this, but it's just a little interesting story. So this person was a chef on a mega yacht, and the family basically lived on the yacht, and they were like off the coast of Brazil, like near Rio. But the Mrs., that's how we refer to them, the Mr. and the Mrs. So the Mrs. always insisted that the fresh fruit had to be flown from Florida every day. But what was so nuts about this is the fruit was Brazilian fruit. So the fruit was shipped to Florida normal, and then she paid to have it airlifted to Brazil every day. It's like, it came from Brazil, but that doesn't matter because it's how the principal wants it.
they want it how they want it, and you better not tell them different.
Exactly.
So crazy. I would maybe
And
like
menu
that.
options for the kids' Barbies and things like this. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I can only, yes, yes. It's a whole world I cannot even imagine. But the stories would be, I would love to have cocktails and hear more stories.
It's interesting for sure.
All right, so viewers, today, if you want to tell us what you did before you started your business or what you're doing now while you're transitioning, let us know in the chat. I am monitoring. I haven't seen anything new pop up there yet, so we'll just keep going. So I feel like we've covered this to some degree, but let me just ask you if there's anything else. Anything else you tell us about what made you decide to actually start a business versus get another job?
So, also that crux point in like 2011. So one thing that's interesting while I was also like debating whether I write a book or not is I had actually gone back to school and I was working on my second degree to move into HR management. And it was very interesting because the company that I worked at, as I'm going through these business basic courses, like literally they were doing so many things wrong. It came out of the textbook of all the things they were doing wrong. And I'm all like, well, I'm a smart enough human and I can see how to apply these. I definitely can't make any changes within this organization. And why am I betting myself on their train, which they're driving into a tunnel with no outlet? It's more like a Wile E. Coyote tunnel they're about to hit. I'm like, I see this writing on the wall. I think it's time to move out and just go ahead and bet on myself. And I had read a lot of things too, because I was feeling like a little bit bad on myself because it had been a couple of years that I had been fully part time in this train wreck of a company, part time in my own business, and going, this seems like the real wimpy way to do this. If I was bold, I would have just leapt off the cliff and gone for it, right? And then I ran across an article in Forbes of some powerful women who were entrepreneurs who did that exact same route. And I'm like, oh, I'm not being wimpy. I'm being smart. And now that there is enough understanding of the financial basis behind running a business, definitely having a little bit of cash in reserves, never as much as we want, because we'll always hold ourselves back in thinking that, I need to have X amount of dollars in the savings and I can't go for it until I have that. If you're not a little bit scared about making the leap, you're not making the leap,
Right.
And it's got to scare you a little bit for it to be real.
Exactly, exactly. But still, I like that, you got some education behind it. You saw what was right and wrong. You segued more slowly. I think one of the key things, I want to say I see it today, but it may be just because it's more visible to me today because so many more businesses are online. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed at how many people that I literally think they just wake up one day and go, I'm starting a business today. And they
Yeah.
did. And there's like no, it's like a river where the surface looks smooth and underneath it is like just, it's just absolute chaos. And I'm like, you gotta slow down. You gotta have framework. You gotta, things that you're going to share about as we go forward. So I won't say anything else, but
Right.
I like that I like your origin story. All right. Janine says, yes, scary, but rewarding too. Absolutely. And also for our viewers today, let me know why you started or want to start a business. Okay, so at what point in your business did you find CDI?
It was actually only a few years ago, which is a little bit surprising because I've been a bit of a maverick for many, many years. And I will be honest, I was a little bit skeptical about professional associations because I had explored some other ones that you see quite prominently in hiring other writers. I had seen other certifications and saw a lot of bad writers with certifications. So it took me a lot to get convinced to join another professional association in this. And, fortunately, I've been quite pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of good education pieces. Don't always get to make the live webinars, but I'll watch the recorded ones and things along those lines. So I'm certainly glad that I found it. I wish I had found it sooner, quite honestly, in many, many aspects.
Well, you're here now, so that's what matters. So
That's what matters, right?
that's awesome. Yeah. I have been in this industry since the 90s and I have experienced everything. And my goal is to just have a certain standard. And, there are things things I've had to pass by to make sure that we maintained that positive environment and that quality standard, like somebody going, will you certify all our people, because they're just not meeting a standard. No, I will not do that. That money would have been wonderful, but for CDI, but nope, that is not who we are. And that is why I always feel so confident when I can recommend somebody, or seeing how many, when people put out their opportunities through the CDI subcontractor list, and they'll be like, I only want somebody who's earned a CDI specific certification or a TORI award. And I'll be like, that says something, when a veteran says that. So I'm glad that you're finding value in CDI. All right. So you've mentioned that that you're pleasantly surprised in finding value. Would you say, or how would you say that CDI has played a role in your the more recent success you've had, or what do you find valuable about it since you've joined?
I think the certifications are exceedingly helpful. So last year I did go through all the paperwork to submit for the Master Career Director designation. And it does get, it makes a difference, because not only does it, yes, it's a feather in the cap. It's the recognition of all the things that I put together. It also is really helpful. Just, by the way, if somebody has not put in for like the MCD, it is a lot of documentation that took me literally about 3 or 4 months to pull it all together. Because I'm just like, that's the kind of detail oriented I do.
Right.
But it gives so much credence when I'm speaking to other people, like potential clients or clients who are coming back where they have questions on something, and they may be giving like one of my staff writers a hard time about stuff, but then they get like me on the phone. It's like, oh, the Master Career Director said this. I guess it is true. It's like the information is exactly the same. The only difference is I have the letters and I have the backup to say that kind of proof piece that I know what I'm talking about. And it's just amazing how much of a difference that makes in people's minds and what they're willing to listen to and accept.
100%. It's the MCD specifically is because you've got to prove. I've had people send in like lists of what they've done, and I'm like, yeah, we can't just take your word for it. We need to see the documentation that you actually did all these things, because you're jumping through hoops, and as Donna knows, in multiple categories. But it makes you, I was trying to think, and I didn't look it up because I didn't want to lose track of the screen and what you were saying, but I know there's less than, and you probably remember how many there are. There's like 7?
10. It was 10.
10 Master Career Directors in the world. I mean,
yeah,
we have niche certifications like our Certified Resume Specialist, which in fact, we just added a new one on Monday, board bios and resumes, to the Certified Resume Specialist niche categories. A lot easier to earn one of those if you're an expert at that type of resume than it is the documentation for an MCD. But the reality is, I have clients come back to me and they're like, I still remember one, I think it was Sarana Sandy. She used her CRS in information technology to land a contract, a transition assistance contract with, I think it was hundreds of employees, because job seekers understand qualifications. They mean something, especially when they can be validated by an association, and even more so when it's a grumpy one like CDI, where we make you continue proving that you're maintaining those standards. And I know that it's no fun, but it speaks volumes. And like Donna says, she gets the credibility. I love that.
Yeah.
Sorry, they get the credibility. Let's see. Janine says, so glad you joined, Donna. Friends received a gold nugget of information from Donna just today. Yes, they were. Both Donna and Janine joined me in our Career Industry Accelerator Club monthly meeting, which is a private coaching think tank group that meets once a month. And they were paired up in a one-on-one networking. And Janine actually shared what that nugget was, and I can't remember it. Blessed or
block it prayers. Yes.
Or block it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right. And Janine also says, I'm working on the MCD now, working on gathering all my documents. Yes. Have fun.
Can I give one tip on that?
Yes, please.
Is what I did, and hopefully, Laura, this was helpful for you in going through all the documentation.
Remind me.
Yeah, I collaborated everything into an Excel worksheet, and I had a separate tab for each one of your 6 or 7 areas that you look at. And that was made it so easy for me to add up the number of articles, the number of hours I had put in on like community involvement and the professional development. And I could write down what this was. Here's the link to it. Here's one of them was SHRM credits that I was gathering in professional development and things like that. And sometimes looking at all the credentials you require for the MCD can be a little bit overwhelming. So having that framework of like, okay, here's the things I've got documented, here's what's missing. It was so much easier doing it from that Excel spreadsheet that I would highly recommend anybody do that. If you agree with that, Laura.
No, I do. I can remember now, as soon as you said the spreadsheet, I was like, oh yeah, the spreadsheet. Because when I first looked at it, I was like, oh no. Because even though I use spreadsheets, I'm like, and I've seen some really interesting things in people submitting for the MCD and the CARW, the Certified Advanced Resume Writer Renewal, since that's you have to prove 30 CEUs every 2 years for that. And so I was like, oh boy. And I almost was like thinking I had to start writing you an email, but I slowed down and took a look. And yeah, I thought it was brilliant. It was probably, of all the submissions for anything that we have received over the years, that, and then someone did for our hidden job coach and profile writer course, someone for the actual client simulations they needed to do, they embedded the documents in a Word document. So it was like text, embedded, text. So they sent me, similarly one thing, but yeah, it was really convenient. So Janine says, perfect. Thanks, Donna. Another great nugget today. And I would say, yes, I need to probably go back and look at that and see if that might be something I should be giving people instead of the scary Word document, right? Mm-hmm. All right, good tip. So what has having your own business made possible for you in your life?
So the coolest thing happened in my business last year, where we got that promise that everybody does when they go into entrepreneurship, which is making more money and spending less time and having all the flexibility that we want to go do things that are important to us. And I was really starting to hit that magic sweet spot last year. So that's pretty awesome. And part of it too is like making sure that I have a good team underneath me. Mm-hmm. I don't do much of the resume writing anymore. I give that all to the staff. And also I have one of my team members also does sales and business development for me. So it's not everything is on my shoulders. So if I want to go step away and do a week and a half vacation around somewhere, and I hate working on vacations. People are like, oh, you can just take your computer and you can work anywhere. So I'm like, that sucks. No, everybody else is out playing and I'm sitting in the hotel room typing. No, that sucks. When I'm gone, I am gone.
Yeah. And that's, I'm sorry, I think that's the way. I mean, unless it's something that, I know some people just like they live to work, and I get that. But they tend to, and I know from personal experience, they tend to burn out when you do that. But yes, if I had a magic wand, I would be able to wave it over everyone to have at least a balanced work week, even if that meant 40 hours, because I I feel like half of my mission with CDI is trying to help people to caretake for themselves as much as they do for their own clients. It used to break my heart when I would see people invest money to come when we used to have our live events in person, and they'd invest to come, and then they'd be stuck in their room half the day working on that last minute project that they, felt they had to have. We have the tools to change that. If you find yourself there, please engage with the tools in CDI, even the free stuff. If you're not yet a member, there's just, as Janine said about Donna, there are gold nuggets there that will help change this framework for you so that you don't have to chase work and have too many projects to make ends meet. All right, for Janine and anyone else who might be here with us today, what's having your own business made possible for you? Let us know in the chat. So Donna, what's one thing you wished you'd known when you first started your business? Or if you were just starting your business today, what's one thing you would have done differently?
Okay, funny thing, I wish I had gotten a different name. My company name is too long. Is because it's personaltouchcareerservices.com. It's like, that is long. That's ridiculous. But honestly, I do wish I had gotten involved with like CDI earlier, because one of the big things in hiring resume writers and thinking I'm the most brilliant teacher in the world, and seeing like bad resumes from certified people from other organizations. Now you got to understand, this is 2011, 2012 timeframe when I'm starting to hire staff.
Okay.
And a couple of people I knew, other ones I was just putting out job postings on LinkedIn thinking I will just train them my way. I will teach them everything. And, I did not realize I could come to like CDI and put a job posting there and get people who already knew how to write resumes, and maybe just needed a little bit of improvement or training in our styles and things like this, as opposed to constantly bringing in baby writers who came from marketing or creative writing and having to do everything for them. And that was a lot. That was less than brilliant. Kind-hearted, but less than brilliant.
I totally get it. It's like almost like teaching a job seeker to try to write their own resume, but at scale, right? When they at least they have the marketing or writing background, but resumes as we see them as professionals are a completely different animal. I love. Obviously, I've always gotten my writer. When I had a business and had writers, they all came from CDI, and I didn't even, I don't know how this tip's going to stop working because I keep sharing it with people. But I always say, watch for the Tory nominees to be announced. Because this is, and even the winners, a lot of them, this is like their first taste of fame. Like I won my very first resume writing award. I was only in like my second year of business when I went to my first conference at another professional association, and I picked up an award. Well, if somebody had poached me then, I probably would have subcontracted for them. But that was how I got I had 9 ghostwriters back in the day, and all of them came from just looking at the Tory winners and making them an offer that was hard to refuse in terms of, hey, what if I could just give you the work you love to do without you having to sell or market, or have, in my case, because they were ghostwriters, they didn't even have to have client contact. But I loved it because I would get resumes back that at first I would have to be like, did I write this? And that's such a good feel, from having, and anybody out there, ever tried to have someone else write in your style who has no idea what your style is. It's a good feeling to get somebody who's already qualified. So that's a great tip. And I'm honored that you're finding them in CDI. Janine says, what she's getting from her business, freedom. I get to pick and choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. Exactly. Love that. All right. Well, Janine and anyone else, what's one thing you wish you'd known or done differently when you were starting out? And Donna, so for anyone who's considering a career in this field, or maybe they're struggling with their business they already have right now, do you have a couple pieces of advice you'd share with them?
Sure. So one of my favorite things is about knowing your numbers and not really being scared of those numbers. Like, I keep a running tally because I don't always update my QuickBooks every day, but I do track every single sale, every single lead, every single reach out, and I have it on a spreadsheet. And it'll even tell me my percentage of how close I am to reaching my goal for that month. So I know in any given day, I am X percentage towards reaching that goal for that month. Also, like even directly tied numbers to marketing. So I know if I do X a number of reach outs on LinkedIn, it generates about a 10 to 15% people who will schedule an actual call with us. 50 to 70% of those are going to purchase a package with us. So I know clearly if I stop doing outreach and stop doing these marketing activities, it's not may not hit me tomorrow, may not hit me the next day, but it's definitely going to hit in a week and a couple of weeks because the pipeline's not getting filled.
Right.
And it's just taking like that real business aspect of things that I enjoy, right? So there's that one.
Okay. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest tips right there. The other one that I think is extremely important is set up some project management tools early on. And I'll be honest, this is like my weakest area. I suck at this part. But there's some really good programs that are combined CRM, pipeline management, marketing tools. So kind of figure out which one's going to work best for you and then learn how to use it. Um, we're making a switch right now to a platform that's going to be better for us than what we've done in the past. Is this I read this business advice and I think it was probably Entrepreneur Magazine the other day of make it easy for people to buy from you.
Mm-hmm.
That's our problem right now. It's like we have our CRM program, which sits over here, and we have our Calendly, which sits here, and they're kind of integrated, but Zapier sucks because I can't figure out how to work it right. So that's not integrated properly. And then we have Shopify for our purchasing, but our classes you have to buy on our website. And it's all like, there's 4 or 5 systems that I'm like paying for. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're going to go to this one thing that's going to do at least one or take a couple of those options off the plate.
Yes.
It should be seamless. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes your life easier when you, especially when you have to keep your eye on. I mean, I like to think we have tried to do that as much as possible in CDI, and I still feel like I have like a hairy eyeball trying to stay on top of it all the time because just something weird will happen
Yeah.
on a regular basis. Like just updates alone. I have a 24/7 web manager who I feel like pretty much does more work than I do at this point because I'm always like constantly Ricky, 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 Ricky on just everything. You Technology is not perfect and it is changing constantly. So yes, anything you can simplify, great advice. And knowing your numbers, what Donna was saying about that, I just can't agree. If for no other reason than lighting a fire under your under you, like as Marion, my guest last week, talked about the power of broke and that incentive of if I don't take action, I can't be in business, and how that incited her to just ask her clients for referrals and double her business that year through just making that her drive.
Yeah.
And for me, in CDI, it's just been peace of mind, like knowing when people will register for things, so I don't have to think, oh, something's wrong with this launch. By looking at historical data for the Tories every year, I'm able to like, no, you don't need to panic until literally after the deadline because it's all going to happen in this last 24 hours, except for a few people. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Started, and that was the same when we had a conference and when we have courses. But and if you're tracking your numbers, We were talking about this in the Career Industry Accelerator Club earlier today. If you're tracking your numbers, then you'll be able to know that this, say your January is slow. If you have your numbers, you can look back and go, oh, this isn't just some kind of phenomenon to start panicking about. January is historically slow. So in the future, that needs to be part of my marketing plan so that I can better fill my pipeline in January. And it just gives you so much more. Just, I don't know. I feel so much more relief when I know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one thing my husband always asks of me, he's not always like the most rah-rah supportive kind of person. The thing he said to me since 2011 when I went full-time in my business is like, well, can you pay your bills? Like, well, we pay our bills every month. And I will say this too, there was like, I once worked for like this horrible screaming control freak person. Like she was infamous in the industry for this too. Like the kind of scream and yell and throw things at you kind of person. But she would always say, as her redeeming factor, I always make payroll. It's like, well, you got to give her that. She
I
makes
guess
payroll.
so, yeah.
My writers are always paid. They're always paid on time. Because that's a great way to lose your talent is don't pay them.
Yeah, I know. Now, if that isn't an incentive to get out, whether it's to start your own business or find another job, I don't know what is. And when I
You're
started,
the devil, but pay people.
yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not the devil, by the way. I don't think I'm a horrible boss.
No, you don't sound like one. So, I remember when I took my position as director of career planning at the business school that would become a university, and in the years I was with them, I was. My boss literally said, she sounds like she was cut from the same cloth, but she literally said to me, she said, um, don't worry. Eventually you have done everything wrong and I will have corrected you and then you'll be happy. What? This is how we run our business. I quit that job by writing a letter of resignation, putting my key on it, and walking out the back door. And then they ended up begging me to come back and be a contractor, run the program as a contractor for like 10 times the pay with part-time flexible hours. And I was like, do I have to have contact with you? At that point, I was just done, So you just never know what power you have until you quit a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Janine says, like Donna, I wish I would have found CDI earlier. And she says she loves for systems. Janine is a 17 Hats fan.
Very good platform for solopreneurs. It was a little bit too small for us, but we looked at it pretty closely.
Cool. Cool. All right. And Janine, if you have any other advice you want to share for people starting out or struggling, let me know. Let us know in the chat. Anybody else who's here, of course, we'd love to hear from you as well. So, Donna, last question. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to know in terms of encouragement, lessons learned, final thoughts about being successful as a career industry pro and business owner?
Sure. So this is it's going to sound a little bit weird, but before I got into like hardcore resume writing and things like that, I used to write fiction, screenplays, short stories, did put together a novel, those kind of things. Then I got bored and I didn't pursue it. But the very first time I sat down to write a screenplay, I was so freaked out because I thought everything had to be perfect. So at the top of the page, I wrote, all things can change. And just knowing that gave me the freedom to start to explore the story and everything else. And I think whether you're starting your business, you've been doing it for a while, or you're like me, you're 20 years in, keeping that in mind, all things can change, is very freeing. Just because I did something one way yesterday doesn't mean I can't improve upon it or change it today, or look for ways that we can improve on it and change it tomorrow. And that's kind of like my big mantra there.
I love that. And I mean, and there's another, I mean, if we were writing a fairy tale script that, like a Grimm's fairy tale script, we would say the other side of it, the dark but all critical side of it is that all things can change, so you can't bury your head in the sand. You have to be present. And I think that was a big eye opener for a lot of people last year when we did that critical industry analysis survey. And we saw that it wasn't so much that it wasn't at all that resume writing and career coaching was no longer a viable profession because of AI or competition, but it was that things had drastically changed in the marketing landscape and how people engage and how people make buying decisions. And the majority who were struggling either were at the low price. So it was more like, why don't I just use AI because I see that as a typing job. And the rest had made no changes in marketing for 2 or more years, or very little changes in marketing. And, all things can change, and often they do. So really great advice. And interestingly enough, Donna shared some different tips with me that I will be sharing.
I know. Sorry about that. Natural conversation. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's great because I'm going to go back and change the email and the page I have listed to go. Here are 7, because I have 7 tips from Donna, but I think she only talked about 2, maybe 3 of those. So those who read those still need to watch the video replay to hear these other great gems, and vice versa. You got to read that page to get the others. So if you tuned in today, make sure you watch for that replay page. I'm going to be linking to it. We will be sharing those tips from Donna in social media posts coming up. So watch for those. Engage with them. Tag anybody you think needs to see them, because this is great advice she has shared here today, and she shared with me in advance to share with you in that media. So I think it's great. I may start I may start torturing people and going, I need you to write me tips and then share different ones, because I'm a slave driver now. Oh, boy. Anyway, thank you. I loved this interview and getting to know you. It's one of my favorite parts is, you've been a member of CDI since 2022. And while you come to the Accelerator Club and other events, this is the first time I've had to really hear your story and share it with other people. And I love that, learning where people come from and where they're at, and super exciting. So I valued this today, and I thank you so much. And those of you who are following us, watching, viewing, see, I can't figure out what I want to call that. All the rest of you, Janine, if you'd like to thank Donna for spending the time with us today, please do so now in the chat. And Donna, hang out with me here. I'm just going to close up the show. But yes, here's my round of applause for all the great advice you shared today. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys will see more from Donna. I'm going to talk to her about that after this. All right. So if you found this as valuable as I did, you're going to want to continue tuning in each Wednesday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern. I've currently got some more great and amazing guests coming up. Next week, I am joined by Grant Cooper of Strategic Resumes and Career Coaching. Tell you a little bit about Grant to wet your whistle and get you excited. Grant was previously a serial entrepreneur, opened 2 successful businesses, a natural food store and a natural foods cafe. While a student at LSU, he also launched and eventually sold and franchised businesses in 5 states. He also worked for the federal government for over 7 years and has early experience in food and beverage management and sales management. His company's main services include resume writing, interview prep, job search strategy, LinkedIn profile writing, career coaching, business plans, and 30, 60, 90-day plans. He was actually a speaker at a CDI conference on on business plans in the past. And anyway, last week I shared Donna's claims to fame, and now she's probably going, oh, what was it she shared? It was stuff you put in your claims to fame section of the survey. But some of the reasons you're going to want to hear from Grant. Here's some of the cool things he's done in his career. He pitched and landed a highly lucrative contract with Kinko's You might remember Kinko's Copies, to offer private labeled resume services in 350 plus US locations until FedEx bought them out and ended all partnerships under $10 million. Thanks, FedEx. But still, what a feather in his cap, 350 plus locations. Wow. He created the nation's first digital resume critique CD. And he says, actually, it was you, Laura DiCarlo, that encouraged me to do that upon seeing my resume critique macro program at an event. He sold it at $289.50 per copy with a production cost of just $5 to hundreds of university career offices, U.S. military job services, resume writers, and career coaches nationwide. And yes, I do remember that once I read it. He won a contract with the Louisiana Department of Labor to train staff in offices statewide. And he put 3 kids, a scientist, a sales director, and a doctor through college, grad school, and med school during 30 years as a self-employed career services practitioner. So I think he's going to have a lot of good, juicy advice on a lot of different things and angles that you might do to grow your business. I personally have loved the contracts I've landed over the years when I had my private practice, and the fact that I could suddenly go from client to a day, one day with one group for, possibly 5 figures, or even I've done a couple that were a couple hours for that much. So gotta love it. It's not all that often, but it's always great. So be sure to mark your calendars and tune in next Wednesday at 3:45. And Janine says, thank you so much, Donna and Laura. We're so glad you joined us, Janine. I have so much more fun when we have people chiming in and participating with us. So listen, if you're with me or listening to the replay, don't miss when we go live. Like, subscribe, follow, depending on what platform you're on. And also, before you go today, this is always so corny, and I threaten every week that I'm going to change it, and every week I don't. But I just want to strongly recommend, as I hide myself here, I'll just sit behind the screen for a second here. Head over to careerdirectors.com. You can do careerdirectors.com/free stuff, or just click on the free stuff button on our website. If you're not yet a CDI member, just brilliant resources are there. You're going to get a taste test of a variety of the tools and resources that CDI members have access to, free of charge. We even have a testimonial on that page from a member, letting us know how he built a 6-figure business before he even joined, just based on those free resources. Really important, consider joining our community. We have a Facebook group that is open to non-members. Great opportunity to network, daily prompts for engagement, accountability, support, networking, and it's a lot. So I'm going to strongly recommend that when you go over to the CDI website, take the quiz. You'll see the quiz on the top of every page. You'll also see it on the free stuff page. It is a 1-minute quiz to figure out your number 1 blocker to 6-figure success as a career industry professional. Not only is it going to tell you what your blocker is, but it's also going to curate all those free resources and point you to where we think you should focus first to get the biggest ROI. Very valuable, big time saver, and will let you get clear right away. And of course, while you're on the site, go over to the join page and put yourself on the wait list, because we are going to open the membership for probably 48 hours at the beginning of April, but we're only going to open it to people who are on the wait list. We're not ready for a big launch. I don't have the time, with Tori's also opening in April. So I'm going to give people a chance to jump in. And as always, if you sign up for a certification or course, there's an opportunity to join there and get the 25% off on courses and certifications that members enjoy, or just do it as a non-member. It's up to you. So, anyway, I hope we will see you there. We'll see you in the community. We'll see you taking that quiz and moving yourself forward. Again, Donna, thank you so much for joining me today. I've loved
Thank you.
Getting to know you more and share your tips and expertise. And everybody else, watch for the replay and those other written tips, because there's, as Janine told us, a lot of gold nuggets from Donna. And I hope I will see you all next week. Thanks so much. And let's all fly higher.